Hello, my name is Russ Milheim. I'm from The Direct. Great to meet you. Congratulations on the project. Can you just let audiences know, what you're here celebrating?
We're here celebrating The Diplomat, a Netflix series starring Kerry Russell, among others.
With that series, what was with fans are pretty vocal. They have reactions to it. What do you think is the most surprising reaction you've heard with season 2 so far?
I think one of the loudest reactions I've had is, how dare we only make 6 episodes? We took people to this sort of cliff edge right at the end of episode 6, and they were like, where are the rest of the episodes? So honestly, I think that's been the biggest surprise for people. But I think it's good. We left people wanting more.
Yeah. How do you think that those six episodes, that small package, enhances the narrative experience that you guys are trying to tell?
Yeah, I think, season 1 was 8 episodes. Season 3 is 8 episodes. We're almost finished filming season 3. Season 2 happened in a particular time. There were 2 strikes during it. But also we went straight from season 1 into season 2 without a break. And, we were writing as there was prep happening and everything else. And it just became a necessity. But also the way the story unfolded, it was such a sort of breakneck speed season that it felt as though short and tight would really, really service it. And I think it did.
You mentioned season 3. It's on its way. How long are fans going to have to wait, you think, roughly?
We don't have a release date yet, but if I was a guessing person, I would say, later this year.
All right. I'm excited. My last question for you is, there's a lot of people that work to make a show like The Diplomat happen, and not everyone is here today. If you could kind of point your finger or a spotlight on any one person or department that you don't think gets enough attention, who would you nominate for that?
Wow. I don't think any department really gets enough attention. We try actively to spotlight a lot of different people in our show and to mentor people and to bring people up, to bring up underrepresented people up, to bring younger people up and give them experiences. So, I don't think you can say there's one department that's any less recognized than another. I think it's easy in these award shows to recognize the acting talent, the directing talent, the writing talent, the producing talent. And of course there's cinematography and production designer, but all of these people only succeed based on every single other person who's working with them. So I will always give a huge shout out to the crew.
Well, congratulations again on the show, and I look forward to season 3. Thank you. Well, congratulations on the movie, first and foremost. And people have talked about it with you, of course, obviously, but, it's a long movie.
Yes.
And it is one of the things when, I mentioned it to people, they're like, oh, isn't that movie like 4 hours long? It's like, well, yeah, but... So what do you say to those people that do hold that hesitancy about like, oh, that's a long time to sit down? How do you kind of push them over the edge?
How do I push them over the edge? I say, it's worth it. It's a great film. If you think about the great movies, The Godfather comes to mind. These are epics, right? And you need time. When we first read the script, like the very first thing I said to Brady is I was like, this feels like a David Lean movie, And you want to tell like David Lean to cut down Lawrence Arabia or Dr. Zhivago? Like, no, And to that point, like, this is one of these movies where the titular character is the theme, and those movies require breath to tell the story.
Yeah.
So if someone didn't want to see the movie, I'd be like, just give it a shot, and if you don't want to watch it anymore, you can leave at the intermission.
That's true. And I was going to ask about the intermission. How do you think that like enhances the experience of the film as a whole?
Well, it's a long movie, so it gives a person an opportunity to decompress for a second, to use the restroom if they need to. A lot of times people go to the movies, they're like, I got to go to the bathroom, when should I go? And they kind of find their own moment, right? Then you miss perhaps a moment that the director really needs you to see for the film. But if you know that intermission is coming and it's not that long off, then you can wait for it and make sure you're focused on what it is that the director wants you to see.
Yeah. For you, what would you say, just throughout the whole process, at any point, what was the most unique experience you had on it compared to anything else you've done?
The most unique experience for me was developing a movie about a survivor coming to America and dealing with his trauma, because I'm the son of a survivor who came to America and I lived that trauma. So it was really personal. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of elements in that film, and the film is talking about so many things. But for me personally, as the son of a survivor, that was something really powerful.
Yeah. And of course, you're here celebrating the movie, but there's a lot of people that were so important to making it happen that aren't here. If you could throw the spotlight to one person or one element of the filmmaking process that you want to just give some attention to, what would it be?
Of who's not here?
Yeah.
I mean, I developed this script with Andrew Lauren, my old boss, and we don't work together anymore, but he's a phenomenal guy and a phenomenal producer, and we worked together for 7 years, and he paid for this script, and I wish he was here.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, sir,
Yeah.
and congratulations. Hello, I'm Russ Manley from The Direct. Great to meet both of you.
Mike Jackman, nice to meet you.
Congratulations on the movie. Just the first thing I wanted to ask is, when I'm talking to people who have seen the movie, there's a lot to talk about, and there's big reactions. So what are some of your favorite reactions you've heard from audiences after walking out of this movie?
I want to know what reactions you're talking about, actually. But do you mean the giggling, the laughter, the pleasure?
Well, yeah, all of the
Yeah.
above. That, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pleasure in the film. And I think people love the idea that these worlds collide, the kind of beautiful world of these extraordinary churches, and then the contemporary world of coffee machines or photocopiers or vaping or iPhones. And so that actually is a wonderful contrast for people to have a giggle with. I think people are kind of surprised by the twists and turns of the plot. I think people are slightly shocked, and then I think people are very moved. So I think there's a kind of massive range of the journey for an audience to go on in the film.
Yeah. And my favorite reactions were the reactions, because you watch the film with ourselves, and you feel like it's working and you get it right, and then there's huge moments where people are laughing or gasping, where you're like, oh, I didn't realize, and maybe I should have, maybe I'm blind to it, but like that Isabella's curtsy would get such an enormous reaction. I loved the moment. I always did. I thought it was beautiful, but I didn't realize how intensely people would react. And then Rafe's reaction at the end, I didn't really, people start laughing, and I'm like, what are they laughing at? Oh, they're laughing at the expression on his face, which is so much of what we see of Rafe in the movie. So just those reactions that, when you watch it over and over in a bubble, you never realize are going to be so large. So that largeness of the reactions, which I think also sort of, is indicative of how much people enjoyed that ride and how thrilling they found the movie. It was just phenomenal.
You guys ever just played around with the idea of continuing the story in some fashion?
Not for conversation now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future. Yeah, with this movie, last question for both of you. What would you say was the most unique challenge that it presented you both compared to everything else you've done?
Honestly, getting it made. It took a very long time to get it made, and financing the film took a long time, and then gathering all of that cast so that they were all free at the right time, at the same time as my director. All of that, balancing those two things was complicated. So there was no, it was just that constant waiting to get every bit of the elements in place. And we needed a big stage in Italy to be available to us so that we could build the Sistine Chapel. And all of those elements, getting them to be available to us on January the 12th or whatever it was a big thing. Yeah.
And as Tessa said, I think for me, building the Sistine Chapel is a full-size Sistine Chapel. That was a challenge, but I think really finding the locations that Edward Berger had in his head that would show both sort of the opulence and then sort of the austerity and the juxtaposition of sort of, these are human beings and they're cardinals, but the surroundings are so lush. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's the dining hall, which we shot at a military base, because that was sort of the feeling. So I think finding those locations that really worked and then making them feel all connected, because we didn't shoot in the Vatican, we didn't shoot in the Sistine Chapel or St. Peter's. We built our Sistine, and we had to connect all of those places so they felt as one. So no location that we found could live alone. It all had to have a connective, visual, stylistic feeling. That was, I think, one of the biggest challenges.